Sorry. This thing just don't want to agree with me and stay where I needed to stay. Sounds so beautiful. Don't you agree? Shout out again to my boy Corbin Butler for hooking us up with that amazing intro music. Make sure you go find him on Apple Music or Spotify, wherever you get your music. That is Corbin Butler, Corbin Butler. And make sure you, again, tap in with him. I know he's making beats right now, so if you want to get in on that, please do. I am Vic Jaymes, and this is Everybody Got a Podcast, but everybody don't need a mic. I know there's a lot of podcasts out there that you could be listening to, but thank you for tapping in with me. I really appreciate it. So this is just me today. I know this is normally not what I want to do. I would rather, have a guest here and introduce them. But for this time, I thought it was a good time to do a little bit of a life update. I haven't done one of those in a while. So here it is. I got laid off at my last job at Spectrum News 1 Texas. And it's been a little bit of a whirlwind. It's been a little bit of a ride. I have been processing this for a little while now, and it's just been something that is crazy to me. I think that my ego, a lot of it has to do with a lot of it. I didn't think that I would be a person that would get laid off. I thought my value kind of spoke for itself, but that's how, shit kind of rolls down the hill. And I'm, thankful and grateful for the opportunity that I was afforded. Getting a chance to do sports and get paid for it was something that was a absolute dream of mine. And now sitting here and doing a podcast, talking about sports, it's just one of those things that I've, again, just been ingratiated with, and I can't get past it. Honestly, I really thought that it was a, far off thing, and I already got a chance to accomplish that. So that's a check mark for sure. Shout out to Travis Raycheck, my homie, my former boss, my mentor, giving me the keys to really do the things that I wanted to do as far as tell black and brown stories unapologetically during my run there. And it led to me being a, Lone Star Emmy nominated, producer and talent. So I'm going to flex on. Hold on real quick. I got it. One more time. There you go. So that's one of those things that I was really appreciative of, and I can't really, put into words what that meant to me, kid from Fontana, California, getting a chance to come to a different city and them accept me into their world, specifically East Austin, specifically, the black and brown community in the greater Austin Metroplex. It's honestly just been something I'm, eternally grateful for. And, I hope to continue to build those relationships, build those bonds as I'm, in between jobs, but what am I, up to lately? It's been, like I said, it's been a whirlwind a little bit, but, thank God for my sister, Des White, my big sister. She's really, taken it upon herself to take me under her wing. And over this last year, we've been kind of talking about what the next steps look like for me and what I wanted to do in my career. And she was, very, I wouldn't say aggressive, but definitely very proactive in what my future looked like. And we got to talking, and that led to me working for her at Orchard Operations in more of a freelance capacity, because that's just kind of how the structure of her company works. And it's been awesome, honestly. Like, I've been able to learn a lot, like a different way to flex my production muscles. I've still been able to interview and write and for these, amazing people, athletes, entertainers. So that's been something that has been a blessing for me in this time of like self-doubt that, I think that actually comes in when you lose a job in the corporate world. Like, you kind of just have this feeling of, oh damn, am I good enough? What else do I got to do? Even though I got nominated for an Emmy, I'm like, shit, like what else do I really have to do to prove my value? And she saw that. She's seen it for, since we was kids, and has, been a constant, pump of energy and pump of positive energy. And she was just like, look, you're going to be fine. You're talented. This is where we are now, though. So a couple of things, that we've been working on, that I've worked on with her, for her, I should say. You can find now on ESPN Plus and Hulu. So, things that are reaching further than I even ever imagined at my, former employer. So a couple of those things, first off is Time Out with Tobias. So if you have ESPN Plus or Hulu, please go check that out. It's hosted by Tobias Dorzan. Such a solid dude. From everything that everything I've known. I met him when I was still working at Spectrum. Got a chance to interview him and find out a little bit about his story. Such a crazy story, or amazing story, I should say. Former pro football player turned celebrity chef. He was like, doing the football grind. And if you know a little bit about that, I know some people probably watch Hard Knocks, that if you're not a, star player, you're usually like on the chopping block. And he was a practice squad guy in the NFL for a while, and went to Canada for a stint, and was just like, I need to do something different. And he always had a love for cooking, and he decided to, enroll in the Art Institute in Houston and learn more about, culinary skills. Worked at a hotel, worked in a hotel kitchen in the DC area, DMV area, and the head chef there was like, look, man, you gotta take this to another level. Like, you're too talented. And he went over to Sicily and learned the trade of fine dining and fine cooking. And since then, it's just been a skyrocket in flight. Like, he's just been cooking for different athletes and entertainers, and he became a celebrity chef. You can find him on, the Food Network, or, different cooking media as such as that. And it's just been fun to see his, meteoric rise to where he's at right now. And 8 episodes on ESPN Plus and Hulu. He's talking to athletes such as, Super Bowl champ Ahmad Bradshaw, Tanzel Smart, who you may remember from Hard Knocks last season, WNBA star and reality TV star Ty Young, New York Giants star defensive end Kayvon Thibodeau, shout out California, because he's from the Crenshaw district of Los Angeles. So it's just been really fun to see how that product turned out. I got a chance to write the script for that, come up with a couple of different elements as well. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that I worked on was A Mother, a Son, and a Dream with Darrell and DeLon Wright, the Wright brothers of basketball, not the Wright brothers of aviation, but former first-round picks, both of them. Darrell's NBA champion with the Miami Heat. DeLon is currently on the Miami Heat right now, and it's just been cool to see their story focused on in there, on that program. And then also top 5 first-round pick, Ron Holland out of Dallas, Texas. Met his mom, Tarasha Holland, such a warm and sweet soul. Got a chance to kiki with her and interview her during the project, and such a welcoming person. And I'm just really glad that it worked out for her son. I wish nothing but the best for him. I know as a journalist, you're not supposed to say you're rooting for people, but I'm definitely rooting for Ron Holland. I know that a lot of people in Texas, don't like that, because he decided to go to the G League instead of taking that 1 year at the University of Texas. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. You can make some money, make some real money, play against grown men, play professionally. So it's going to work out for him, I think. And, he's got a good upside for sure. But it's been a pleasure to really see how that project turned out. Again, it's a documentary. Find it on ESPN Plus and Hulu. So, sorry. This thing just don't want to agree with me and stay where I needed to stay. So, it's just been fun. Got another project that's on the way, so just be on the lookout for that. I'll probably announce that here pretty soon. And just continue to learn from my sister. You know, my big sister, she's been through a lot. It's been really, I know I keep saying it's been, but I've really enjoyed seeing where her life has taken her from the time we were kids, because she's been through a lot. She doesn't really talk about it a lot, and I'm not going to get into all of it here. Hopefully we'll have her on the pod at some point, and me and her can rap about it for the world to know. But I'm just really proud of her, and obviously it's been putting me in the positions that I'm in to still have some type of income as I go through this transitional period. But I'm just, I could not be more happy for somebody than my big sister, and seeing the type of gain she's been able to get in this world. And Howard alumni, HU stand up, the other HU, I don't want to get into those politics, but shout out to my big sister Des White for sure. And as we get into this segment of the show, usually this would be the time where I would ask my guests what things in sports interest them, what has sports done for them. And for me, honestly, it's done everything. Like I've been playing sports since I was old enough to walk. I was one of those kids. I came up in a big sports family, so family bonds gave me a lot of that. It gave me, the opportunities to see things outside of my bubble of Fontana, California. And I'm just grateful for that, in the grand scheme of things. For sure, the thing that it gave me, obviously, was a platform of any kind. I got a chance to, again, be a sports reporter, a sports producer for the last 4 years. I've been in sports really the whole time I've been in television. Shout out to Brett Edwards, the first sports director I ever had, who gave me a shot to really talk about sports on camera in any capacity, and really noticed that I had talent from the first time I interned with him at KLKN in Lincoln, Nebraska. So I know he's out of TV right now, but he doesn't even know how much that time meant for me. And so sports has really just given me the world, and I continue to try to build bonds through sports. And I think that so much of what we do now in sports media is a lot of debate and hot takes, and I think there's definitely a place for that. I'm not knocking it. Obviously, people have made a bunch of bands doing it, but for me, I always thought that the conversations I've had surrounding sports have been a lot more nuanced and a lot more of a collective, a lot more of a shared experiences type of thing. So that's really what I want this podcast to be. I want this to be a situation where me and my guests share experiences with sports, with the culture, and then how those things intersect. So I'm really excited to see how this podcast grows over time, and I'm excited for y'all to see the more that we do with this platform. So with that being said, some of the things that I'm just interested in right now, and the things that I've seen over the last week is the WNBA getting a $200 million valuation per year in the NBA's new TV rights deal. I think that's big, honestly. I know that executives from the WNBA PA aren't, as ecstatic. I know that's what they're, Tina Jackson, I know that's her job, to be critical of the NBA and, what type of money is coming in, because I know that they in particular, she in particular, want to see more money split around the pot, so that we don't have women going overseas to play in the off season. I think that's a big thing. Like I don't want that either. As a fan, I just think that's upsetting a little bit. Like I get that, that's kind of where things have been at, as far as revenue and things like that. But excuse me, I think as far as growing the game, it's a good thing. It's about $140 million more than what the WNBA was evaluated at. So I think even with that chunk of change, we'll start to see more women not having to go overseas to play ball. And I think that is a big deal. Obviously, with the Brittany Griner situation, her being in Russia in the first place, I thought that was the main issue with that situation. For her to be such a star, multiple time Olympian, gold medalist and all that, all-star, for her to have to go over to Russia to make bread, I thought was kind of ridiculous. So hopefully now, at least a few more women at this point don't have to do that. Also looking ahead is the Olympics. The Olympics start next week. So I'm really excited to see how that shakes out. We got arguably, or not even arguably, one of the most decorated teams the men's basketball team has ever had. You have multiple NBA champions, multiple MVPs. You have a young rising star in Anthony Edwards, who is ready to just light the world on fire, and his charisma and his talent is pretty much second to none. I don't really think anybody is more talented than him on this roster, for sure. So I'm really excited to see how he plays on the world stage. I know he's disappointed with how Team USA played in FIBA last summer. Obviously got LeBron James, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum coming off of an NBA championship. So I know he has a lot to prove because he wasn't the Finals MVP or the Eastern Conference MVP. It is weird that Jaylen Brown isn't on this team. I will say that. I think that once Kawhi Leonard was on the team, I was like, maybe it's a fit thing. But you replace a defensive, versatile wing with a guard, more of a defensive point guard. I think that's kind of weird. Instead of putting the Finals MVP on the team, from the same team, I think that's also kind of weird. So we'll see how that. I know Derek White's a great player. I think the Team USA will obviously be fine. I think maybe they were worried about the amount of shots and amount of time having the ball, and maybe they don't have to explain Derek White not playing as many minutes, as opposed to Jaylen Brown. So that probably had a lot to do with it. But also really excited to see Anthony Davis. I'm a Laker fan through and through, so I think people write off Anthony Davis a lot. I think he's the most versatile player on the team. So that's just one of those things. Not so much a hot take. I think that's just a fact. I don't think that's really anything people can dispute. So it'll be really interesting to see him get his shot on the world stage, because there's a lot of versatile bigs around the world. So we'll see. And it's a lot of good teams on the men's side. So they can't take a night off, even though they should dominate and they should win for sure. This is not going to be a picnic. Everybody knows that when these guys, some of these, supplementary players, some of these role players in the NBA, when they get to their national teams, they become all-stars. So it'll be really fun. I think it's going to be probably the best basketball tournament on the men's side that we've ever seen. So it'll be really fun to see that. On the women's side, for the national team, it is for sure, pound for pound, the best team we've ever had. Like, I don't think that's up for debate necessarily. Really excited to see A'ja Wilson continue her dominance on the world stage. She's been on a tear. She's been on a tear. And I'm really excited to see how that shakes out for her on the world stage. And like I said, with the men, like it's a very solid fields. A lot of WNBA or former WNBA players for other teams like France, Belgium, China. I know I'm forgetting a squad out there for sure, but there's a lot of good basketball being played around the world on the women's side as well. So continuing to grow the game, continuing to show the world that, these women can hoop. Like, they're not out here trying to, look cute or, be, a part of the conversation. They are the conversation. So I'm really excited to see the women's tournament as well. Got to talk about the sprinters. Sha'Carri Richardson making the field after being DQ'd ahead of Tokyo. I know she was disappointed about that, but she's back. Fresh off a world championship. Fresh off a 4x1 world championship, and I know Team Jamaica is gonna be coming for blood. I know that rivalry is renewed and thick. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how that unfolds. Noah Lyles is going to try to make history. Sydney McLaughlin's, working to make history. So the sprinting events, I'm very excited for. Can't wait for how that unfolds in real time. Simone Biles is back. She is back on the on the Olympic stage, I should say. So that'll be really fun to see how that unfolds or tumbles. And, she's the elder statesman now, probably the most decorated Olympian in history. And she's with a new crop of Olympians, and it's going to be, they should dominate again. That's me, again, not knowing too much about the world of gymnastics, but I know that people are always going to be hunting for the U.S. and how their, how they're, positioned is going to be the standard for the most part. And Coco Gauff, Coco Gauff is coming off of a disappointing Wimbledon outing, getting bounced a little early, and I'm interested and anxious to see how she responds when she gets to the Olympic. The other thing I've been interested to see is just literally how everybody's been falling over themselves for the NCAA football game. It's the first time we've had NCAA in 11 years, and I've just been really, really excited. It's been cool to see, like, all the childlike enthusiasm that a lot of my friends have had for NCAA finally being back over 11 years it's been since we had an NCAA. And just to, not to age myself too much, but just to timestamp it a little bit, the last time, July of 2013, that we had an NCAA football game, Vic Jaymes, was playing college football. I also had hair. I had a full head of hair the last time we had an NCAA football. So that should just give you a hint of how long it's been since we've had an NCAA. Some other things that were happening at that time. Iggy Azalea had the number one song on the Billboard Top 100. I'm so fancy. That's 11 years ago, and that was the number one song on the Billboard Top 100 the last time we had an NCAA. Kendrick publicly dissed Drake for the first time. And it was a bit of a subliminal diss that if you knew the context of it, you definitely would know. But he publicly dissed Drake for the first time during the BET Hip Hop Awards cypher with Black Hippie and TDE. And it was such a cultural moment. It was such a you had to be there, or you had to be sitting in your seat to kind of understand what was going on at that time. It was right after he did the Control verse. Drake didn't like it, and he publicly went out and was like, who the are you? So, obviously, the way things have unfolded over the last few months, it's crazy that that's where it really started for both rappers, in particular Kendrick, and also to the coincidence of NCAA coming back out. So that's been interesting. And then also, Trump was still just the host of The Apprentice. Like, that's how you knew Trump was. That wasn't President Trump. It was like, okay, Trump is the host of The Apprentice. He's this, real estate tycoon guy, and he was still hosting The Apprentice in July of 2013. So that's how far we've come since the NCAA last had a game. Since NCAA 14 came out, that's all the things that were going on during that time still. Oh my God. How times have changed. With that being said, I think it'd be a good chance to wrap things up. Later this month, I'll be at NABJ in Chicago. And for those that don't know, that's the National Association of Black Journalists Conference, or Convention, I'm sorry. And it is, really exciting for me to be around a bunch of beautiful Black journalists again. I haven't gone since 2019, so it's been 5 years since I've been back there, and I'm just really excited to network and see everybody that I met, 5 years ago. Obviously, I'm unemployed, so I'm really excited to network and go to the career fair and hopefully finesse my way to another bag. So that'll be interesting. That'll be something that I look forward to 1,000%. And Summertime Shy. I haven't been to Chicago in the summertime ever. So I'm really excited to get on somebody's boat and, have a good time, but also, learn a lot, because that's what last time I was at NABJ, went to a lot of sessions, learned a lot about the craft, learned a lot about, how to be a Black journalist for real, because it is definitely a separate entity from being, a journalist, all the way around. So really excited for that. And again, on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you again, everybody that, is taking the time to listen. Again, this was more of a life update episode. Next episode we'll be back, and I'll have a guest with me from NABJ. So stay tuned for that. We're going to try to roll these out bi-monthly on Fridays. So just stay tuned, and I'll make sure to get the word out when I'm going to have these episodes. And it's been fun. Make sure you follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Everybody Got a Podcast. I will be at Vic Jaymes on Instagram, at Vic Jaymes TV on TikTok. And it's honestly, like I said, it's a pleasure to try to do this the right way. And it's been a 10-year ramp up, and I'm just really excited to continue to do this, on this stage. And if you want to be a guest, holler at me, hit my DMs, if you got my number, hit my line, and we'll work it out. But until then, peace.